Guys, welcome back to another episode of 0 to 60. I'm trying to get back into the older type of content, the reviews, the BMW stuff. You guys know I like my BMWs, especially trying to make an older BMW a little bit more special than they were when they first came out. And that's what we're doing today. I'm in the E70. A lot of you guys won't know that we have this car. I did do a CarPlay install on this last Christmas time, actually, and that's where we're at today. And yeah, we've been driving around this car for a bit over a year. I think we've done about 30,000 kilometers in it. It's been great. It is the N57 8-speed for the win, and it uses no fuel. It averages like 7.4 liters per 100. I do actually really like the car, and we're probably going to keep it for quite a long time, and that's how I've ended up on this video today. So this was originally Laura's car. She has been using it the most. I've been in the E90. However, when we did that last CarPlay install, it's not great. It's good, but it's not great. So we have a CarPlay unit which lets us have CarPlay on the factory BMW screen. I know it's flickering. It's not flickering to me, but you guys are probably seeing a bit of a flickering. This is just the cheap, one of the early generations of the CarPlay units. Bryce from BM Retrofits hooked me up. I think it was like $150. So it wasn't a lot of money. For what it cost, no complaints at all. However, I've spent the last 2 months driving this car, and it doesn't have touchscreen, and I don't think I can live with CarPlay without touchscreen. I didn't realize how important touchscreen was for CarPlay until I didn't have it. And I guess there's going to be people out there that say they don't need it, but trust me, when you've had touchscreen CarPlay, you want touchscreen CarPlay, and that's what we're going to change. The other thing that is a little bit annoying about this issue is something that's happened as I've started this car now. Whether it was me driving it or Laura driving it, when we were sort of taking turns, I would drive it for the week or she would drive it for the week, whatever. But about, I don't know, 1 in 4 times would jump in and it just won't connect to the phone. Annoyingly, the only way you can get the phone to connect is delete the Bluetooth pairing on the phone, delete the Bluetooth pairing up here, then it connects. When it does connect, it works fine, apart from no touchscreen. Anyway, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to put this Seicane unit in. This Seicane unit is the latest, greatest, best thing that Seicane currently do for Android units. I'm kind of looking forward to having a bit of a play with the Android features. And just so you know, I'm slouching because if I sit up, I go in the shade. I want to have a bit of a play with the Android features, but for me, it's CarPlay, it's Android Auto. That's what we do on the day-to-day when we get in our cars. It remembers what we're listening to on Spotify or whatever. And obviously we can use our maps. It just works better. I found that now I don't tend to use the Android on the units, but this Seicane thing has got the latest and greatest, so let's see what it's like. Kind of excited. I like playing with toys. It's been too long since I've been modifying and playing with my BMWs. Guys, I have done many installs on these Android units into BMWs over the years. You can go back through the channel, just search for Android install. You'll see the videos. We've done an E70 before. In fact, David did one of the best Android video installs ever. I had to go back and watch it, so I knew what I was doing today. But something that a lot of people don't understand when they do these units into a BMW, what we're installing today is a display. It's not a complete replacement radio. So all it does is change the interface that we have with the car. You can always switch back and see the original CCC or CIC or MBT unit so you get all the car data. In fact, we can do it with this one. If I hold the menu button and then we come up and we go back to the factory car. So you can always do that. That's all this unit is. It's just a bit of a display that modernizes, gives us all this extra functionality, touchscreen, etc. But we are connecting to the standard BMW radio through aux. Not great, but I think it's going to be, it's what I need. And yeah, I know there are units out there that use fiber optic or MOST to connect. And yeah, I'm sure they're great when you've got a fully customized stereo and all that sort of stuff, but this is going to be good for us. I'm looking forward to it. Right, I've got to get it installed. I went back and watched a video. These are relatively easy to install. It's air conditioning vents out, factory screen out. Then you can take the air conditioning controls out, then the CIC unit, and yeah, should be plug and play. Now, I did actually do a little bit of an unboxing and show you what you get in the package when you order one of these Seicanes. Remember, this is a sponsored video, so let's give Seicane some love here. I like that they're looking after me. They do know what happened with the drama over the last 12 months, and they still wanted to help me out and still wanted to promote this, even though I haven't been doing a lot of BMW content. So thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it. Let's see if this unit's any good. Hey, so a bit of a kitchen point of view video. I've just unboxed everything, and this is all you get now. There's no instruction manual. Probably not needed. We're saving the environment now with these Chinese Android radios. Okay, let's look at what you get in the package. We have a GPS antenna. This is just the USB cable for USB into the unit. and I'll show you where that runs once we've got it half installed. That is a Wi-Fi antenna. Now this is actually quite important for people that are using CarPlay and Android Auto. This is what gets the radio signal or the audio signal from the phone, the display, everything into the Android unit. So you need to mount this somewhere sensible, and you do need it. And of course the main installation cable, this just intercepts or piggybacks, that's probably a good word for it, into the factory BMW CIC radio system. That's why it's got all these wires in there. And then this piece runs up to the main unit. And this is the brains. It all sort of happens here. Connection-wise, obviously we've got the connection for the GPS antenna, the Wi-Fi antenna, and then the purple connector is the factory CIC display. That's how we can get the original BMW display on the screen if you need to look at any of the factory information. And just at the top here we have a SIM card slot, and then that little dot, hopefully we can see, is the reset button. Hopefully we don't need to use that very often. Oh, and lastly, the trim panel, something that I've seen or I've noticed people don't necessarily pay attention to. This is for right-hand drive vehicles. It offsets the screen closer to the right-hand side of the car. If you're in America, you're on the left. If you're buying one of these units, just randomly make sure the seller you're purchasing them from knows what they're doing. It's another reason to buy from someone like Seicane. You'll end up with the one to actually suit your vehicle, not one where this screen is on the other side of the car. All right, let me get it thrown in. And just a quick update on the install. So with the last E70 video that we did, the main question we get on the installation is why don't they get sound? With the way that this system works, it comes with the aux cable, which is integrated into the patch harness here, which I showed you earlier, and it goes through this cable. Now that's if the factory CIC or CCC unit has aux input in the back. This one is not coded for that, and that's because it actually has factory Bluetooth. So just for testing, I've got this aux cord in here, and it's going just in here. Now, I did it before, but we should power it up. Actually, this would be a good thing to see how fast it actually gets into CarPlay. This is wireless. I've got the antenna loose just there. We're into CarPlay. And we're playing. All right, that is working. We have audio. All right, I'm just going to tidy the rest of it up. All right. It's hot today. Right, I think we're done. Let's see how fast it boots up and if it automatically connects to my phone for CarPlay, because that's what I want. Automatic CarPlay connect wirelessly. Go. Start the car up. Screen doesn't turn off when you start the car. That's nice. It's quite a long time to connect. Is my phone doing anything weird? Nope. It's a long time to connect. Getting nervous. Hey, it connected. Are we playing? Yes, we are. All right. So, I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Damn. Okay, that looks really good. It's quite a high resolution display. Now, I'm going to do something a bit different to what we used to do. I'm not going to rush this video. So this video is not going to go out for a couple of weeks. I'm going to spend time with this unit, learn some quirks, and I'll update you guys in a few seconds. It'll be a few weeks for me. See how we go. All right, guys, it's been about 3 weeks since that last clip. And yeah, I've probably had 10 or 12 trips in this car, to work, to the dump, general running around, that sort of thing. And my main concern, which was connectivity to the Apple iPhone in particular for CarPlay, has been faultless. I did have an issue with CarPlay just after I finished filming, but I was in and out of the house. I had the car on and off heaps of times, and I got back in the car and it wouldn't connect to my phone. Now, that particular time, I didn't mess with it too much. I just swiped down, clicked reboot, and it rebooted, and I connected immediately to my phone. It has been fine since then, but that's all I can sort of say so far. But yeah, it seems to connect better than the other cheap unit that I had in the car prior. Now, touching on a few things, the main thing that I think is really going to set this unit apart from other Android units that are on the market and that have been on the market for a long time is the size of the display. This thing is a whopper. I was a little bit concerned that it was going to be too big for the E70 chassis. Yeah, the E70 head unit that we put in a few years ago, it went between this point and this point, where this one's got like another 40mm, which sits up close to the dashboard. And I've got to say, I actually spent a little bit of time in a G05 this year, the current model X5, which has a factory 12.3-inch screen or something like that. And this makes me feel like I'm in a G series. It really doesn't feel like I've put a modern screen in an old car. It just makes the car feel newer. And when you're driving, it is the right size. Like, it doesn't... The smaller screens and the old screen that was in this, that was only like an 8.8-inch, which means it would have come from about here to about here. When you're watching navigation, or if you're trying to read Waze, that sort of thing, you really do have to look and take your attention off the road. This makes it much easier, a quick glance to see what the maps are trying to tell you. And it doesn't sort of interfere with your eye line at all to traffic. It is below the dashboard line, as you can see there. And yeah, like I said, it's kind of like it was supposed to be here. I have seen the 12-inch screens in like an E82 1 series where they're massive, and they have a massive impedance to driver visibility where they'll actually come up close to the mirror. But yeah, no, that is just the right size for this car. I do really like it. As for brightness and ease of being able to see the display, I've got a little bit of a clip here from full daylight where we were driving the car, and it's always a bit hard with the phone because the phone tends to, or the camera I should say, it tends to pick up reflections a lot more than your eyes do. But yeah, here's a little clip of us driving down the highway and you can see the screen absolutely fine. It is a full gloss screen. Hopefully you can see the reflection there. So unlike the factory current model BMW screens, they have like a matte finish to them, which I think is to help reflections or help minimize reflection. This is full gloss, which means it is a little bit more susceptible to reflecting something, but I don't think it's an issue. I actually kind of like how clear this looks than the factory BMW screen. I like gloss finishes like my iPhone. One thing I have noticed, this does not seem to have fingerprint issues as much as the genuine BMW G series screen does, which is kind of weird. I thought this would be worse being gloss, but maybe it is something on that coating they have on the factory new screens that make them more susceptible to fingerprints. Either way, the display has really impressed me. It is not as bright, in my opinion. It's not as bright as the factory screen, but yeah, no issue seeing it at any time of day, and it does dim automatically. If I just turn the headlights on, you see the screen dim there. Yeah, so even at nighttime, and you can set your daytime brightness and nighttime brightness, it doesn't blind you at nighttime either, and it sort of lines up with the brightness of the dashboard. It works absolutely fine. Very impressed with the display. Now, there were a few little niggles with the software side of things. Not bad stuff, but something that I have changed in the settings. You might be able to see here. You might not be able to see. But there's about a 2mm section of the display where I've moved the display up. Now, the issue I was having when I was on CarPlay, and hopefully I've got a clip from before, but if I just go to CarPlay, which I've got that little button set there, now I could see where the screen would come down in this round section and it would sort of duplicate it a few times. It's something to do with the firmware, the software, I don't know what it is, but it wasn't displaying on a full screen properly. Now there is if I go back to the factory settings, we go settings and we scroll down to factory, and it's 8 to access all the serious settings, and you can scroll right down and you go display resolution settings. I'm not going to go into, yeah, I'll go into it, bugger it. So all I've done, I've set the offset up to up 20. That moves the display, or the bottom of the display, up by, I assume, 20 pixels, I don't know. It moves the display up a little bit, and that sort of fixed the duplication stuff that I was having. The downside of that is when you go into some apps that I don't use when I'm driving, so it doesn't really matter, or I don't use it all anymore. I'll touch on that in a minute, but I'll just show you. If I go to YouTube, click on my Cletus video. So if we see on the Cletus video, the time down here is now cut off. So we're cutting a couple of pixels off of the display. It's fine when you're actually just using the display, but yeah, it's a little bit of annoying. So I can either see full YouTube, which doesn't really bother me, or I see a little bit of a weird thing when I'm in CarPlay. I mean, this is a really niggly thing, but it's something that I wanted to just mention to you guys, and hopefully something that Seicane might update or fix in the future. It's not a real problem, but I want to just let you know about it. As for the actual interface behind CarPlay, I guess I don't really need to talk about CarPlay too much because it all goes through your phone, and that's going to be the same for Android Auto. We can do this and close all of the apps. But yeah, I think the actual display here is, it's going to I just closed all the apps and it's going to auto connect. That's how fast it connects to your phone, by the way, when you power it on. So if I press the menu button We'll go back to the Android skin. This is their version of the BMW ID8, and look, it's nice, but I'll be honest, I'm never going to use it. Something that's sort of happened in the last few years, has CarPlay's got better, as Android Auto has gotten better. I tend not to use the Android that's actually on these units. I mean, it has got full Android, so you have all your normal Android apps, that sort of stuff. So you've got navigation, Spotify, change your wallpapers, that sort of thing. But all I find myself doing, I just go to CarPlay. I get in, I go to CarPlay, and it's the CarPlay integration with this that does work really, really well. Yeah, keep in mind, it has got full Android, so you can have Chrome. I haven't used it. I haven't even opened it, but you can have Chrome. No, thank you. But yeah, I don't know. I'm never going to use it. What's the point? We'll go back to the home. One thing I do like about this navigation interface, I guess, or about this user interface, the swipe down is really, really good. You can turn your network off, you can reboot, you can mute, you can go to a black screen if you want. And that is handy. This is the first Android unit I've ever had that has a nice swipe down. You can adjust your brightness really quickly, like so. Volume as well. This is the volume of the Android unit, not the volume of the CIC unit. But yeah, everything there, it works great. If you're actually connecting your phone direct to Android, you can control the music, that sort of stuff. But I don't. All I've done, Z-Link, which is the app which does all the CarPlay. In fact, I have a little shortcut that's there as well. And CarPlay's great. It's good. I can open my gate with my car. Slowly opening there. Guys, look, the unit has done what I want it to do perfectly. Some things that I will touch on which is better on this than some of the older Android is the integration with the car. In fact, if I go back, actually, let me shut my gate because I don't want the dog getting out. So we'll go back to here, and the settings which are here. Settings here. So even the ability to quickly change the factory system. On a lot of the other Androids, you've got to go into like a master password, but this, it's just easy to set your integration up. Things like the door warning. So if I open the door, we get a little car flash up, and you can have audible warnings if a door's left open. If you've got a child that might be jumping out while you're on the highway, this will let you know, just in case you can't hear it. Yeah, look, the factory integration is really, really good. Now, it is obvious that this unit, or the software that's on this unit, is also used for some other chassis. I think Mercedes is another one that I can see some remnants of settings and options in here. But yeah, all in all, it's been relatively easy to set up. One thing that is a bit weird, I did have to... Oh, I can't remember what menu it is on, but there's a menu somewhere where you set the driver being on the right-hand side or the left-hand side. If I set it on the left-hand side, it works perfectly. If I set it to the right-hand side, it thinks I'm on the left-hand side. So there's a few little things like that that you will need to go through and set up to suit your particular chassis. Things like original knob control. This relates to how this knob integrates with the unit. Keep in mind, it will be very similar software that's on the MBT units, which have a different type of knobs. There's a few little settings like that that you need to go through and set up. But all in all, it's been pretty easy. The only weird thing I had to set up was just that little resolution setting on the bottom. And again, just to remind everyone, the factory password for these is 48. You can get into it there. Right. Last but not least, I just want to show you the reversing. I have had an Android, which I've never done a video on, but I had an Android in the past where when you would put it into reverse, the audio would stop. And that's really annoying. So you can hear something playing there. Let's try and not get demonetized. But that comes up and it keeps playing. So I've got it set so that when you put it into reverse, you go to half of your current volume and it goes back to the factory 360 cam, which this thing has. Unfortunately, the factory unit is not touchscreen, but we can go and we can look here, change all the camera modes. It all integrates really nicely. Back to park and back to CarPlay. All right. As always, with these type of videos, there will be a link to get this unit yourself. If you've got any questions about the Seicane unit, hit me up in the comments. Question about installing it, hit me up in the comments. Based on all the comments that we got on the install in an E70 that we did in 2021, the main thing that catches people out is how you integrate the aux unit, or how you get the audio from the Android unit into the factory CIC. If you're lucky, if the car doesn't have a MOLF unit or a Bluetooth module, the patch harness will just work and you won't need to plug anything in. If the car has a MOLF with an external aux input, external to this module here, you will need to connect it to the plug in the center console, which is what I've done, but pretty easy. As for audio quality, this does have, I've played with it, but I can't remember where it is. Oh, I know. It is, if we go menu and we go apps, it has the mixer. So it's got full equalizers and all that sort of stuff, which I have had a bit of a play with. This is just what I thought suited this car the best. Yeah, it is not a audiophile level device. However, unless you've got like a $10,000 stereo, it doesn't matter. It just works. Yeah, look, very happy with it. My main thing, CarPlay integration with the phone, is spot on. The display is pretty damn cool. It genuinely feels like we're in a better car than we are in. All right. I think that's about it. It's New Year's. Guys, I hope everyone's had a good Christmas. Enjoy your New Year's celebrations. I know I will, and we'll catch you on the next one.